Soldiers, sailors, airmen, and women enlist in the armed forces for many reasons, including a sense of duty, patriotism, the adventure, travel, and adrenaline. When service members are injured or wounded and can no longer perform their military duties, they quickly find themselves removed from their team, no longer serving the purpose for which they trained.
I came back from Afghanistan in 2013, and it was kind of a trial and error of finding out, after the military, what's next in life.
Motorsports offers an opportunity to regain that sense of identity within a safe, fast-paced team environment, providing a renewed sense of purpose. Like in the military, in motorsports, the goal is in accomplishing the mission, winning as a team, collectively celebrating the successes and supporting teammates through the losses. Operation Motorsport also offers virtual engagements and recovery opportunities through an iRacing league, engaging beneficiaries in a safe, competitive environment from the comfort and safety of their home. Operation Motorsport believes in the power of team, identity, and purpose.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Podium Esports coverage of the 7th round of the 7th season of the Operation eMotorsport League live from iRacing's Virtual Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. I'm your host, Rachel Whiteford, joined tonight by my colleague in the booth, Michael Johnson. Our producer for this evening is, as always, the venerable DJ Lion, and he's using cameras created by the great Dougie Beard. Well, Michael, 7th round of the 7th season, I want to say another 7 here and go down some Iron Maiden directions, but here we are, Road America, a track you probably know quite a lot about.
I do indeed. It takes 7 laps before the tires warm. No, that's way too much of a stretch. Oh, but this is such a history track. This place was started because of the close. Well, not because of the close, but to help recover from the closing of a canning factory in Elkhart Lake. So this whole track, a bunch of SCCA members got together, found this space, talked to the folks in town and said, hey, we can help you. And this whole facility, in its original form, was to help bring life back into Elkhart Lake. Now, this track seriously has not changed much over the decades that I've been going there. It is so much fun. It is really fast. And my first professional podium that stuck, that didn't have a technical infraction on the car after the race, was actually here. It's about 4 miles long, just a tick over 4 miles, about 6.5 kilometers, 14 turns. That last turn is so much fun. You come flying through there, and when you kick the gas just right coming off of it, man, are you flying down that straightaway up to turn 1. Turn 1, a lot of people overslow for it, and you've got to be careful not to go too fast once you get that in your head. Lots of passing opportunities here you see at the end of these long straights, and these two classes are almost identical, and actually the GT3 is probably about 2 kilometers an hour faster on each of these straights. But we should take a look at what our classes are.
We absolutely should. As you see on your screen, we have 2 cars in tonight's event, the GT3 car and the Liger LMP3s. Split into technically 4 categories within 2 classes. We have the pros and pro beneficiaries. These are drivers who have either a real-world racing license and or a 1900 iRating or above, and or they are a beneficiary of Operation Motorsport. We'll talk more about that in a second. Then we have open and beneficiary. These are in the GT3 field. They are either beneficiaries of Operation Motorsport, or they are active duty service members, or they are supporters of the cause. Now, when it comes down to that, of course, beneficiaries. What are they? Who's Operation Motorsport? Well, Operation Motorsport is a veteran-led and operated not-for-profit based in Raleigh, North Carolina and Brighton, Ontario, serving American and Canadian service members and veterans. Its programs are based on 3 core values: team, identity, and purpose. Operation Motorsport supports the recovery of medically retiring or retired service members affected by military service through motorsport opportunities. Their motto is one at a time. So those beneficiaries are people who are actively involved with Opmo in those motorsport programs, working with real world teams to get themselves back into an environment where they feel like they're contributing and feeling, it's like they're producing something, like they're being part of something more than themselves, Michael. It really is something special.
Indeed, it is. That teamwork is something that's really drilled into you when you're going through even just the basic levels in the military. I remember being in boot camp myself in basic training, and as an only child, having to share and be part of a team that was something more than just me taking care of myself. That was an interesting change of mindset, and once it's drilled into you, you can't get it out of you, and that really does speak volumes when you get into motorsport, when you have that type of skill where you're really good working with a team and you understand how to do your role and even something of someone else's role that you can take over if that person's not able to for whatever reason. So I love this linking between motorsport from military. I think it's a fantastic link for people to see and to experience.
It certainly is. Couldn't say better myself. Well, here we are down at the track. We're looking on board with one of the Ligers right now. Heading past Smotherman here. Pole sitter at the moment from the Pro Beneficiaries. He's sitting on the run up towards start-finish line now. Let's climb up this hill. Look how big it is when you see it from the driver's perspective there. Up over that crest, Michael, and down into turn one here. This big arching, kind of climbing all the way up to about here, the pit exit. It's all the climb.
Yeah, that's quite a daunting climb. You don't realize quite how big it is because it's very gradual. It's not something like you see at, let's say, turn one, when you're climbing turn one at Coda. So Circuit of the Americas, big, giant climb. This hill is about the same, but it's not quite as steep. It just feels like it never ends, but you're coming back downhill. And here we have a really cool opportunity to watch on board here with Matt as he comes down into turn 5. You have a downhill braking at one of the fastest parts of the racetrack. You see him coming through the gears, down, goes through the corner, tries to get on the gas, and just, you've got to be very careful right there because the rear end of both of these classes, the LMPs and the GT3s, will get pretty loose on you if you try to put the gas on, get that throttle a little bit too quick. It's just going to get wiggly, and, well, interesting things can happen at that point.
Nothing good happens when a car gets wiggly. In fact, I'm pretty sure nothing good ever happens when anything gets wiggly. Wiggly is just a bad situation for anything to be in. There are good words, there are, I can't think of any, but there are good words for that sort of emotion. Wiggly is not a good one. Wiggly is escaping. Wiggly is something getting off that shouldn't be attached to something, or should be attached and no longer wants to be. Wiggly is generally bad. So we'll go with that one. But I'm not going to go down the other road for this conversation. But clocks in. We'll be seeing our final runs into this. Any real last moment advice, Michael?
Last moment advice, really the big one is keep it on the dark part here, the green stuff you see. Yeah, don't drive on that. The grass, no good. But use curbs. This is one of those tracks, as you see right there on board with Matt still. He used all of that exit curbing there. There's an extension out there. You're allowed to get out there. It's perfectly fine. And that's going to really help you make lap time if you use every last millimeter of track.
Use curb. Something these guys normally are very afraid to do. So we'll have to see as we get 2x2 through the final corner there. Lovely synchronized little motion. Martin Wallace, one of those two cars.
I think that was more of a photo opportunity right there. They looked like they were trying to show off a little. Look good. Yeah, carry a little speed, get those cars coming through and make it look good. Yeah, absolutely. I've done that a few times myself.
Well, a couple of moments left before we go to our starting grid, and we'll have our gridding for today's event. Look forward to seeing how this one plays out. One more round to go after this. We have Daytona on the 12th, so stay tuned for that, and it'll be the rundown to Christmas after that. How are we here already, Michael? It's already the 6th of 5th of December. Where did this come from?
Well, so as far as I've been able to tell with a little extensive study, it appears time is actually linear. and it gets us there at the same rate every time, regardless of what we feel like. So, I guess maybe slept a couple of days too heavy, a little late. I didn't wake up until about 8:30 this morning, so that could be contributing to that.
If you're managing to lose whole days with your sleep, then you're doing something I'm definitely not, unfortunately. But here we go for our final run through, or second last run through for the grid. On pole tonight, Matt Smotherman for the pro beneficiaries with Tiger Lament on his outside. Rodney Campbell for the pros in third place with Martin Wallace on his outside for pros. And it's Greg Meisner for Pro Ban with Conor Parisi for pros on the outside. Hunter Reeve and Scott Andrews behind them for Pro Ban with Jacob Sparron last of the Elijahs. Now for the GT3, Skylar Vickroyd for Open with Thomas Hudson on his outside with Matt AOT behind them. First of our beneficiaries is our beneficiary spotlight tonight, Pete McDade of the US Air Force. Then we have Dave Bell as well, Tanner Masters, Joshua O'Connor, John Hicks, Alvin Kelly. Then it's Open driver Tyler Reed with Corey Laperouse and Brian Knight. So a very beneficiary heavy GT3 field tonight, Michael. This should make things interesting.
Yeah, I think the beneficiaries feel more comfortable in that GT3. It's a car they recognize. You kind of see sort of a street version. There are major differences, but once they move to that LMP3, the Ligier, it's such a different animal. It's a different beast. It has a steering wheel. It has four wheels. It goes vroom vroom, but you just don't really recognize it. So I think that initial jump into the race cars is a whole lot more comfortable in something that looks more like a car you might see on the street.
I could certainly see that angle. There is, of course, also the fact that where the beneficiary class is, of course, for most of these drivers. But as we come around now, this big rundown towards our probably biggest braking zone of the track. Just how do you approach this in a crowd, Michael, this run to turn 5?
So the run to turn 5 is interesting. There are a couple of different lines you can take in a race situation. Obviously, right now we're behind the pace car, and it's wide enough for these guys to go through too wide at this pace. But one thing you're going to see, especially in these LMPs, is when they're coming down to turn 5, whichever car is in the lead is going to go really, really super wide and just barely be touching the outside edge of the curbing with the left side tires. The trailing car wants to maintain as much downforce as they can so they can brake as late as possible, but they're not going to be able to get a little as wide. So they're going to really want to kind of have that offset. So it'll look like, oh, maybe they're making a move. They're not really. They're just trying to catch up a little bit. Now, if they are able to make up that gap and get side by side, well, then we've got some interesting over-under opportunities there. I think we're going to see a lot of really good racing at turn 5.
We certainly are. Turn 5 will be a tricky spot for us this evening. Got to say, one of our longest pace laps we have here at Road America. It's not exactly a short lap. We're looking at 1 minute 58 qualifying. It's 1:58.888 for Matt Smotherman. Hope he's not playing slots, because that would have been a great run for him, actually, instead. But we're looking at 2 minutes and about on the dot there when we get down. 2 minutes 5, sorry. 2 minutes 4 for our GT cars. So an overall big difference in time there. But like you said, the GT cars a little faster on the straights, Michael. But it's the corners where the Elijahs really make up.
Yeah, the prototype just has a lot more downforce, pretty powerful motor, and it gets up there. It's not quite designed the same way. Now, I think we've got a little bit more power, if I'm correct, in the GT3s, but these prototypes, they're so slippery, so they get to that top speed a little bit quicker, but then the top speed of those GT3s it's a couple of kilometers an hour, about 1.5 miles per hour faster. So they may have a chance to push through. It's hard to see how it works out. I want to watch them together a little bit. We tried to watch a little bit in practice, but they were actually trying to avoid each other a little bit because everybody wants to get their best times down. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the real differences are. I know these Ligers are going to be super quick in the corners. They've got tons and tons and tons of downforce. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out during the race.
You know, I think I've realized why I pronounce the prototype name so differently to you, Michael.
Because I pronounce it like the French manufacturer does?
Correct, but I also know of a place called Ligier, which is spelled Let's Gets in France, which I call Ligier.
Aha.
Just called Leger. Either way, we're going racing. We'll talk about pronunciations later as the prototypes climb the hill here. And speaking of let's get racing, shall we? That's a terrible link in there, but green flag will fly and we're away now. It's a big jump from the back of the field there by not Scott Andrews, so it's Hunter Reeve going bold on the outside there. You saw him right at the back of that group, took it 3 wide initially, ran into turn 1, and Smithman leading the way here nice and easily, has the inside line, should be able to defend from Guillemette. And Campbell, Wallace as well there. There's a bit of a wide run by one of them. 3 wide there as 666 and Martin Wallace stuck on the outside of that one. Ooh, a little close through there. Here come the GT cars behind them as well, Michael. Now boiling down that hill towards turn 3 because this is stupid.
Yeah, turn 2 is that non-turn right in the middle, but it counts as a turn. But look, we've got a 3 wide situation. One of them backs out, but here we are right here into that braking zone. Are they going to be able to hold on to this? Good pass. That looks like it could have been 1 or 2 positions right there making up. So that was sliding up into P2. Good job right there for, I think that was Willamette.
I think it was indeed. Looking down now, GT Field running pretty stably here. They've got a big gap between them, but our racing is really taking place here amongst the prototypes. Coming down towards the drop down. Is there a house, a couple of stories drop down here in this the wagon wheel?
Oh, easily. All these grades here are really, really gradual, so it's hard to tell. And there's Dave Bell going off. That's a tough one for him. Dave was doing quite well, but now he's next to last. I have no doubt he'll work his way back up. Now, I wanted to say, back at the beginning of the race, the GT3s had a beautiful launch. And if you... let's go take a look at this replay real quick first. There he is, just a little bit too quick. Like I was saying, in these cars, you get on that throttle too quick, it is going to spin you right around, and that's exactly what we saw there. But anyway, back to the beginning of the race. Beautiful launch from Vikaroy, was able to really launch himself out, way out in front, but Oetsen was able to hold on. Now Matt Ayotte was right behind, but couldn't quite hang in there because he had some defending to do on his own, but that allowed quite the gap to be created by Vikaroy and Oetsen, and now looks like there's even still a pretty big gap there, about a second between first and second in the GT3s.
Really is there. As some bunching happening in our prototypes between Campbell, who's up in the second spot right now ahead of Guillemette. Guillemette trying to recover that spot for him there. And Tariq as well, a bit further back with Wallace. Sorry,
O'Connor having some issues there. O'Connor having to come into the pits. Looks like major damage. Now that slowed down John Hicks, who was coming up behind him. Wasn't able to enter the pits quite as quickly as he may have wanted to. Now the pit speed limit is way back there. So yeah, take a look at that.
Penultimate corner crash there for Joshua O'Connor. Spun out after catching some grass and round he went. You saw that there on the replay for you as he gets down on pit road. Of course, we'll get some repairs too. A bit early for anyone to actually be pitting for fuel here, so that's not likely what we're going to be seeing at any point anytime soon. But got a bit of right battling here around our beneficiary spotlight. Pete McDade. We've got Matt Ayotte there, and we have Thomas Oetsen. So second, third, and fourth here for your GT field. A prototype battle here. What's going on here?
This is a really nice tight battle that's happening. These guys have been battling for a good little bit, but I think they're going to try to settle in slightly and just take those moments of opportunity, not really try to force anything, as we're still fairly early in this race. 26 minutes left here. Although we've got a 2 wide at Canada Corner, it turns out looking pretty good. Loses 2 positions, might be losing that third one. Wow, what a good move and tough defense that tried to put on there. But really good move, respectful racing, nobody knocking anybody off track. It was all a little bit door-to-door, bump those mirrors, but hey, rubbing is racing, right?
Should have meant to be NASCAR, but yeah, I agree. Rubbing is in fact racing. Campbell holds that spot for the moment and says, Matt Smotherman's got a decent gap, already 4 seconds, and we're on lap 3. Can someone hold this guy back? This is getting silly again.
No, you can't. I've raced Matt. You can't hold him back. He's just going to go as fast as he wants, and you're going to be behind him no matter what, because he's just that quick.
He absolutely is, as he's really doing a great job of this. Now, the thing with Matt that we're seeing there, of course, he had a rough start to his season. He had some really, really poor rounds, both qualifying and race performances, but he seems to have found it now. Just like the guys behind him are fighting 3 wide as they come down towards turn 5. Someone needs to pick where they're going to go here or make a decision, because 3 wide into 5 is going to result in that.
Oh no, yeah, turn 5, like we said earlier, that's the spot where things are going to happen. And I think I guess it was Scott Andrews who got the worst of that. Yeah,
realistically, this is a problem with the 44. Hunter Reeve turns across the nose of Andrews, which puts Andrews on the grass, spins him round, and caused that. So that's going to be, unfortunately, all she wrote for that moment.
Yeah, but still able to recover. These cars can take a beating. I mean, they are pretty much the Timex of cars. The LMP2 and the LMP3 both can take a pretty hard hit and still keep going without too much effect on their performance. So they are built for exactly what you saw there. It's not the preferred method to get around the track. Preferably you would not get out way out wide like Matt was there. Matt was about to hit that grass on the outside. That would not have gone well. Now watch this. This is fun. Can he make it through here? No lift. Perfect matching right up there all the way out to the edge. I didn't hear a lift. Did you hear a lift?
A tiny notch of a lift.
Tiny bit?
Possibly.
Okay, give him 2 more laps. We're coming back to him. He's going to go through there without a lift. I promise you.
Yeah, it can be done. It's just, you maybe tease the throttle a tiny nudge just to help kind of rotate the car.
Also, if you're in the draft of somebody, you got a little bit of wing wash. It does make it a little difficult. So I'll give him that one. But I guarantee you, if he gets around that BMW in front of him, he's totally going through there without a lift.
I could agree with that. I think that would happen. As it stands, though, 3.8 for Smotherman over Campbell, as we see Guillemette working on Campbell at the moment, and behind them, Parisi's got a gap over Meismer. Hunter Reeve, of course, involved in the incident. We have an incident. Oh
boy.
Second and third
that's
off.
A big one. That's a big one. Here? Looks like Tyler's rolling down the order.
Oh, Tyler got up inside. He went up the inside hard. So we had a kind of defensive, but also blocking move there by Campbell, putting Tyler onto the grass-ish, who then had no choice but to go straight. That's not one I'd like to adjudicate.
Yeah, I would not want to be in the middle of that one either. But, that it didn't look like there was a lot of contact. It was just a little bit late. Well, sorry, a lot late on the brakes for everybody, just trying to be the one who made the corner.
I think that's the fairest assessment we can really see in that circumstance, as things will kind of have to unfold from here, but it's all just helping Matt Smotherman disappear off into the sunset. Speaking of disappearing, Skylar Vickroy, he's done very much the same thing as he comes down the carousel now. Odinson in second place is about 3-4 seconds adrift there, with Ayotte in third, Dade in fourth there, and Tanner Masters behind them. Reed climbing his way up the field as well. He's at 4 so far.
Now, let's see if Skylar can do exactly what a little bit of a lift. I'm surprised we're still seeing a lift in there in these GT3 cars. Generally, when you're setting the cars up for this track, you set up so you can stay full throttle through there, and then you manage everything else. But I was surprised to hear that tiny bit of a lift there.
Maybe they're not all as brave as you, Michael. I think they're just lacking in your fortitude.
The track insurance. Maybe that's what it is. But yeah, good exit there. That's a good exit there. That was actually a really good run through that final corner, turn 14. Nice power down. Let's watch as he goes down the straightaway here. He's really hoofing it. He's going to get up to about 250, 260 kilometers an hour. Looks like he's going to top out about 254. I think he's still heavy on fuel, so that's going to hold him back just a little bit. Once this fuel starts to burn off, though, I think you're going to see these guys really start to get a couple extra kilometers an hour out of that. But he's already running faster than the LMPs are.
Yeah, he is, and that's going to be a big difference for them in terms of their performance on the track. But the LMPs, of course, will murder them in the corners. Speaking of murdering in corners, Parisi second place with Campbell trying to recover second. Behind him, Meismer closing up there. So we have a really interesting fight starting now towards the carousel.
Yeah, as we come into the carousel, really 2, maybe 3 lines through there, but right there, as soon as you see that curbing that comes up, that's what you're looking for, that curbing on the inside. You can go to throttle. Now watch these guys as they come through here. Are we going to have a lift? I don't think so. They've got so much more downforce. They should be able to just fly through there, even in the draft of another car. Now, a little bit of a defensive posture here, going up the outside. Can he hold on to it? Braking into Canada corner, throttle down all the way to the edge, kick up a little bit of dirt. We still got some overlap here coming up through Bill Mitchell bend up to turn 14, power down once again up on the inside, gets that inside move done, but now in a very disadvantageous position because now we've got the draft. Although that GT3 car up in front giving a little bit more of a draft, gonna have to back out of this and tuck back in behind. Oh, and it gets squeezed right there. That was a little bit of Florida orange juice at that point.
I think it was definitely something in Florida man, possibly, making that decision, but it was definitely a little on the sketchier side. I would not have liked being that GT car with that many prototypes hoarding around me. With that many prototypes around a lower class car typically results in prototypes doing something questionable in nature on the racetrack, as they'll still be pretty much tied together here coming down with, of course, Meisner in that grouping there with Precy and Campbell. Not of cars coming down towards 5. Who's going to brake when? Who's going to go for this? Will we see a move up the inside by Campbell? The brakes, nippy up he goes. And nicely done there. Campbell takes that through. Will sneak as well for Easy. And looks like Meisner might be able to lose her on this one.
Yeah, defensive posture going up under the Corvette bridge, but Campbell back into P2 with Parisi behind and Meisner right there. This race is not over. This has become a 4-dog race at this point. We've got 4 drivers. We have P2 through P5 all shooting for this position. This is a big battle on track right now, probably our biggest, although we've got Dave Bell trying to work his way back through back in the GT class. But this one right here, this little grouping, they are super tight and just trying to work off each other's drafts, make the guy in front of you make a mistake so you can slide up the inside.
What they want to see done here on the racetrack to make sure they can secure their own spots, focusing on their own fight and their own victories as they'll race up now out through Billy Mitchell towards that final corner and then climbing up towards the start finish line. We are about 13 minutes into this thing. What are we seeing our fuel window really being for these cars? We know what generally they've got. It's that middle third of the race. Do you think we're in that now?
Well, it's hard to say. And generally, when you're looking at fueling, you want to run these cars in the sim to the absolute last thimbleful of fuel that you can. They just, whoa, they are so much quicker when you do that. Oh, yeah, there you go. That one's, ooh, that was rough. That was a little bit of wiggling again. Nope, don't want the wiggle. And I think the Beamer got the worst of that one. The Porsche, oh, going a little bit wide out there. I wonder if he's got some damage. Let's take a look at the replay.
We'll see what happens here to the cars. There's, oh, a bit of a tank slapper going on there as he got the inside, and it's a gentle nudge kind of mid-body, so I think he might be okay.
Yeah, I think he's okay. It was just putting the power down too soon, and he was still in that tank slapper as the contact was made. And then looks like he was going into drift mode right there at the end. So there could be a little bit of damage, although he seems to be holding it on. This is Brian Knight in the 8.2. Looks now like he's got the car back under control, but honestly, once you get those rears lit up like that when you're going wiggly, it doesn't work.
Meisner also round in a very similar spot, in fact, and this was a non-contact incident for Meisner, but he just lost it coming through the corner before, got in the gravel, got sideways, spun around out of the way of everybody else, but he dropped about 3 spots here, 4 maybe.
Yeah, about that. Looks like we've had a couple of pit opportunities. I saw Scott Andrews go into the pits, but I don't know if he actually meant to. Now there's that spin. It's a self spin, but notice he got off the track and then got the car going back forward. He wanted to make sure that he wasn't going to mess up anybody else's race. So good move on his part.
It's the honorable thing to do, really, because your race might be hampered, but you shouldn't do it to somebody else's otherwise. So we'll see where this plays through for us as we do come to the halfway point, though. I think it is time for visit upon us our beneficiary spotlight. And that's going to be our highest running beneficiary in the race, Pete McDade. Now, Pete was a US Air Force Staff Sergeant on a C-17 airdrop loadmaster with the 16th Airlift Squadron out of Joint Base Charleston, South Carolina, from 2009 to 2013. Why did he join the military? Well, as a nerdy kid in his late teens playing in a video game arcade, his old friends turned up. His high and tight haircut and a smirk on his face, the guy had just cleared out and was now Air Force Security Forces, who all think they're great. But either way, apparently he asked him if he thought he had what it took to get in, and his friend said, "No, I don't think you do." Well, that set a fire underneath him, and before he knew it, he was shipping off to MEPS in 2009, a very different person. Was he most proud of from his time in the military? Well, he says from all through his deployments, his training time, his miscellaneous adventures, he's proud of the people he managed to save. And he's been awarded multiple different various awards for this and ribbons. He said whether or not it was flying dangerous missions or it was the simple act of being coined for presenting other airmen for committing self-forever sleep was his biggest impact in his career. And him realizing that just taking the time to talk to someone could have such a profound effect on another human being's life. This is why he has a raven and a semicolon tattooed on his left shoulder to remind himself of the mental health struggles that normal people go through every day. Why is he interested in motorsports? Says I'd have to try and somehow continue this after that poignant moment there. Well, he says that working on cars for him has always been a calming thing to him. It's simpler dealing with people. That's something I can appreciate because I too have a very tiny social battery. And he says it's a place where he can calm his inner demons and concentrate on a task or team achievement, much like the military. He found a brotherhood before the military in motorsport, and he's found one since. What are some of his hobbies? He likes to work with his hands, whether in working out how to repair things, make them better, or even just make something completely new. He can create just about anything with ready access to a workshop, his 3D printers, CNC mills, and micrometers. So, sounds like a pretty creative guy. I like him. He says now with the Operation Motorsport as a beneficiary, he's working with the CrowdStrike by Riley Technologies LLC team. He usually stays busy at the track and help with whatever's needed, and whether it's getting fuel ready for the car, fixing random stuff where they'll let him, lugging things around the track, or just simply doing simple basic EMS procedures to help prevent heat stroke, very important at race weekends. He feels useful and part of the team. And that's one of the biggest things he finds for it. It's the atmosphere, the camaraderie, and the people helping to heal his life. There we go. That is US Air Force Staff Sergeant retired Pete McDade.
Well, Pete McDade, quite a storied life in his Air Force career, but we've got a story going on here on track. Looks like Matt Smotherman tried to get in and take his pit as quickly as he could. Meanwhile, Connor Parisi is still out on track, holding onto the lead. Not yet pit, but with about a 30-second lead. That's not going to be enough to maintain that lead unless something happens to Smotherman. Now, Skylar Vickery in the lead of the GT3 class is really holding on to a nice position here. We're watching him on screen right now. The BMW of Outson is right up behind him. These guys came out of the pit together, almost side by side, and have been absolutely hammer and tongs this entire lap. So this is their first lap out, or starting their second lap, I should say. And you see there is Thomas just putting that nose in there, trying to get the Porsche a little bit unsettled. These BMWs are really quick in a straight line, but the Porsche comes off the corner so beautifully. It can usually do a little something to stay ahead, but watch as we come down into the braking zone for turn 5. Wow, heavy on the irons, and then turns it in beautifully. That Porsche well under control, but the Beamer's got a little bit more speed this time because he had the more advantageous line. Coming up through turn 6 under the Corvette bridge, looking towards 7. Now this is going to be a fully flat corner. You do not want to lift at all as you go through there, and then coming down to turn 8. This is another one of those opportunities where we've seen a lot of people get the power down too quick and that rear end starts to step out on them, but these two are leading the GT3 class, so I don't think we're going to see too many mistakes from them.
We'll have to see exactly how this will go, of course, there. Smotherman resumes his lead at the moment with Campbell in second place there. Guillemette third, Hunter Reeve in fourth, Scott Andrews and others. We've got some pit stops, as we mentioned. Connor Parisi has retired that car, though, unfortunately, as has McSparren. So that's 2 retirees from our proto field. Rick Roy still leading the way for the GT cars. Udson, McDade there. We're seeing those cycles happening right now on the track. Michael, around here, obviously some very kind of iconic corners. Which is your favorite? Because I think I've heard so many different variations of what people's favorite part of Road America is. What is yours?
I've probably made more passes at turn 5, which is what we're coming down to right now. Turn 1 is almost gigglingly funny when you go through it. Every time I go through there, I just get a giggle because I can't believe I'm going as fast as I am through that corner. So we're coming up to turn 7 right here. 7, when you finally realize that you can make it with just full throttle and the right timing on your turn in, that's a lot of fun. A lot of people, whoa boy, we've got a little a wiggly Porsche there, but a lot of people do enjoy the carousel here. The carousel is interesting because it's more than 180 degrees back around. Now, for the speed demons in the crowd, right here, you got to get that left side, just nick the inside there. That is the kink. The kink is so fast. If you're an absolute speed demon, that's going to be your favorite. But my second favorite for me is probably Canada Corner, where we are right now. You have so many opportunities there. You can catch them on braking going in. You can catch a good exit and get around somebody. It's just, there's so much to be had there. And actually, I like the last corner here too. I've had stories go both ways there. I like the whole track. Let's just say that. I like the whole track.
Fair enough. The track is great. I would personally pick Kettle Bottoms and down towards Canada. It's one of my favorite sections of this place, I think. It's just that big, tall, tree-lined avenue. It really feels very special at a track like this. Look up to some
Sort
of
of
our
reminds
protests down
me
the
of
front
Spa
straight here.
Francorchamps.
Little Sparry, yeah. Little Sparry. That's Andrews, Meismer, and Wallace there, as we see. As, weird enough, one of my favorite races here was actually in the Xfinity cars around this track.
Oh, yeah.
That was unpleasant. But it was
yeah,
fun.
the trees are still shaking from that noise. That's just just the raw as they run down the street. Yeah, you can see the trees are still vibrating from all that.
Tell you what, it's tough, and you definitely have to lift at the kink in those things. There is no way not to. But all these corners feel so much more terrifying. Especially 5 is horrifying in those cars.
Yeah, turn 5, because they aren't really designed with the thought of braking, as in using the brakes. I mean, they of course brake, but using the big old disc brakes on those things, a lot of times they go in there. Well, actually, for almost all the road courses, they put on a different brake system so that they have bigger brakes, but they've really got to work on the cooling for them, and that's the biggest challenge. Is they're not used to cooling the brakes, and they're usually trying to cover up those ducts so the air will just go sliding past the car instead of into the engine bay for cooling or into the brake ducts for cooling.
Yeah, exactly. As we've got Guillemette, moving in on Rodney Campbell here. It's getting a little bit closer as they're coming towards Canada, but not quite close enough yet. What are we seeing in our GT field? Closing for Pete on Matt Ayotte. We're seeing Dave Bell closing as well on somebody else. But yeah, our biggest run here is going to be Guillemette and Campbell. I think at the moment this battle for second has really been on all night long, Michael.
Indeed it has. Now a little bit farther back in the field of the LMPs, we've got Martin Wallace, who's really making a hard push coming down the straightaway. I think he's going to get this for turn 1. He is just barely on the inside. This is going to be who can master the braking getting into this corner. Looks like Wallace is going to make up the space and get past Scott Andrews. Very nice move, very patient move. There's so much patience in racing, or at least there should be. When people lose their patience, well, we see things like those interesting incidents we've seen at turn 5.
Certainly is, and we'll have to make sure they are rather careful. This one, some racing ahead actually there of your leader. That's going to be Dave Bell and Joshua O'Connor. No, not O'Connor, sorry, Dave Bell and a lap car. They're working their way through this section.
Looks like here we have that battle with Wallace and Andrews. Andrews is fighting back. He's like, you got me on the straightaway. That's the only reason you got around. I'm making this about me. I'm going to get back around you. I think this is probably the closest race we've got on the track right now. Looks like Vicaroy and Outzen have kind of settled in, and they're going to carry this fight on probably in the next 2 minutes or so when we get closer to the end of the race. But these guys, they're really trying to go at it. Now, let's take a look back into the GT field a little bit here. Here we are back on that race for the lead of the GT field. Looks like Vicaroy is holding on to that position as best he can.
He is doing a pretty good job. It's been really easy for him so far, but Outzen is catching up. He could have an impact in this race if he gets there in time, so that'll be important.
No, was that a splash and dash? I think McDade might have just done a splash and dash. Looked like he had to take on a little bit of fuel, and that was it. I wonder if he miscalculated his fuel. We've got about 5 minutes left here, and he lost a couple of positions having to go in. I didn't see a penalty come up, so I'm guessing it's fuel.
Could well be just fuel, might not have just had enough. That's always plausible, but really late in the game, 4 minutes 40 remaining here. Not going to be a lot left.
No, that's a terrible time to have to take some fuel. There's not a lot of time to be able to make up what you've lost. Not a lot of time to be able to hope somebody else makes a big enough mistake to bring you back into it. But back here to the lead of this GT3 class, we've got a really good battle going on with Vicaroy and Outzen. They are both in the open class of GT3. Our top four even in the GT3 class are in the open category. So on board here with Outzen, trying to put the pedal to the metal as he comes through there. Look at how he uses all of that track exit, gets way out beyond. He's going to try to stick right into the big giant hole in the air created by Vicaroy in front of him. Is he able to hold on coming down here? Taking a look at the speed, we're about 257 kilometers. He's able to pull just a little bit more speed. Now, I find here in iRacing, the BMW is a little bit faster on the straight, but I wonder if he just has a little bit extra wing in this thing that might be holding him down. I was expecting him to probably have about 5 or 6 kilometers an hour more. It was only about 3.
Yeah, not a lot more than we thought, and that would make a big difference, of course, trying to pass on those straights for the prototypes. It's going to make it much more troublesome for them. Vicaroy's gap holding pretty steady here with Outzen. That's going to be one that comes down to the wire, I think, because we're looking at maybe 2 laps more on this one, I think, depending, as we see some of them come across the line here. With a 2-minute lap for him, I think we'll see him, yeah, we'll get white flag next time by, I think would be correct, Michael.
I think you're right. So about 3 minutes, we're coming through right now. Matt Smotherman is currently hoofing it down the straightaway. I think, yeah, no, sorry, he's going down towards turn 5, just past that Sargento Bridge. Matt is probably looking at coming around. Yeah, I think we're going to have one more lap as soon as he's done with this one.
That would seem most likely for us here, as the race will go on. Where will this unfold into these final moments? Will we see that move by Outzen on Skyler? Gap's widening. I don't think we will. Guillemette does a good gap over Campbell. Reeve a little bit further back. But everyone's spread out, really, these last moments. They really wanted to make our lives more difficult. I think, Michael, they're just all separated off of the racetrack. Every single battle we've had has just opened up now. It's still an easy Sunday drive portion of the race.
Yeah, Thomas was trying to really push that car and get right up onto Vicaroy, and I think Skyler saw what was happening and just said, "Okay, bring it. I got your number here, so go ahead and bring it," and just allowed him to make those couple of mistakes. So Outzen is still trying to close that gap. It's out to about 2.5 seconds. When we were on them not too long ago, it was super tight. Now here is once again back on Matt Smotherman, holding on to that lead, going through that final corner. He's going to get a little bit of a tow from that GT3 in front of him. That's going to be John Hicks, one of the beneficiary drivers drivers. Now, coming down the straightaway, he is going to want to hang back just a touch. And I think we should be going to white flag right now. There's only about a minute 20, minute 15 left. So going up the inside. Wow, what a move. Tried to slide up the inside there, but Hicks was very aware of what was happening around him, allowed the overall leader to go through as Smotherman now goes through turn 3 to head down the straightaway, heading towards turn 5. Once again, hits a little bit of extra dirt on the outside there. I don't know if he's trying to see if he can pull the fastest lap of the race here or not.
Asking a little bit much at this point, really, with that. So might want to be more careful than grabbing some gravel at this stage of the race, because it could really undo everything for you. Matt Smotherman is currently running down towards 5, so this will be his final lap now. Guillemette coming around behind him. Gap's too big. We're looking at 9 seconds for your lead to second place. And almost similar back to Roddy Campbell in third. Hunter Reeve, a procession all the same distance back. We may have something here. Martin Wallace catching up to Greg Meismer here down towards 3. We have our closest battle of the race suddenly appearing out of nowhere coming through turn 3. Replay, that's probably why that didn't happen, as they were on top of each other at about 5. Michael, now we're in the right place. So we're trying to get Michael back with us here. So coming down to the hurry downs, we'll see them. Will we see an opportunity here for Wallace, Michael, to catch up here to Greg?
Oh, he's trying. He's definitely trying. He's only about 4/10 off of him right now. This is a good opportunity to try to get in there, but wow, it's going to be tough.
Absolutely will be. Not exactly a lot of room left for this to be run through. Smotherman coming to that final corner now. This is the big one for him. 1 round to go. Will he clean that one as well? Matt Smotherman climbs that hill under the bridge, and he will run it through for a victory here at Road America. Skylar Vickroy has a long way to go. He's just started turn 3, so he's got quite a way. Guillemette will come across the line. Campbell as well coming up as here. Whereas Meismer and Wallace is neck to neck here. This could be a passenger draft if they're careful. Big wide entry needed for Meismer. If he wants to take advantage, get a good run through the corner. That GT car might undo it with a bit of draft effect there for Meismer. Oh, he pulls into pit road.
It's going to be tight. I don't think he can do it. He's going to get really close, but no, not quite able to make it happen. I think that tiny bit of draft off that GT car is ultimately what helped him. But let's go take a look back here. Here we are with the GT3 leader. He's a little bit off pace. I think he realizes he's got about a 1.5 seconds, almost 2 second gap over Outzen behind him. So he doesn't need to drive that hard, just fast enough to win, I think, is the quote from Richard Petty. How fast were you going? Just fast enough to win? Or maybe that was Smokey. I don't remember who that was, but here he goes coming up, just keeping the gap right where he needs it. Absolutely measured. It's actually out to about 3 seconds now. Something must have happened to Thomas Outzen there to cause him to fall back a little bit. Now, back with Vickroy, he's able to hold on to this position, just relaxed. See how he's not even using all of the exit there at Canada Corner. Normally you're way, way, way out there. He's pretty far off pace. He's probably driving about 90% now as he comes up to this final corner.
Yeah, I think he is, as he'll come through there nice and easy for him. Coming up to claim that victory. Outzen behind him will never get close enough to make a difference, but here will come Skylar Vickroy to win for your GT field in the open category. And Tanner Masters, in the end, will be taking, I think, for the beneficiaries soon. As Pete McDade, pit stop troubles for him. He ended up further back in this one, down 1 lap. But we'll see them come across the line. Last of our cars will come through here, so we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with you with your post-race results and your interviews. Do not go anywhere.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the post-race show here for the Operation eMotorsports series. We are at Road America. Let's go through our post-race results. Coming over the win, Matt Smotherman again. Second place, Tyler Gillimet there, 8.7 seconds behind him, with Roddy Campbell behind them. Hunter Reeve and Greg Meismer involved there too. And it's Martin Wallace and Scott Andrews, your finishing field for the Protos, with Connor Parisi and Jason McSparron being retirees. For your GT field, it is going to be Skylar Vickroy with Thomas Hudson, Matt Ayo in third, Tanner Masters for the beneficiaries with their win down in fourth overall. Tyler Reed there behind them is fourth for the GT3 Opens. Dave Bell and Pete McDade round at your podium for beneficiaries with Joshua O'Connor, John Hicks, Brian Knight there, Corey Lavrios and Alvin Kelly rounding out your field here in GT. Well, without much further ado, we have a Matt Smotherman. In fact, we're going to make life interesting again by bringing them both in at once. Tyler and Matt here for their interviews. We'll start with you, Matt. It looks like you found your speed again. We saw it last week. We've seen it here again. What I want to know is, Tyler, can you beat him next week?
It's Daytona. It's my home track. I'm taking it to him. It's mine.
Oh, I was hearing a fight. I'm hearing fighting words now. I'll have to briefly ask you about this race. How was it, Matt?
It's been a long time since I had a race that was like that. I was really thankful, actually, that Tyler ended up getting into that battle with Rodney and the other guys back there, because that was the only reason why I was able to generate any sort of gap, because they got into a battle and it just kind of pulled them back. And I was like, okay, this is my only opportunity to kind of like break the draft and kind of get some space. And it just worked out.
Well, it certainly worked, of course, as we're going to welcome Hunter Reeve to the chat here. But Tyler, for you, this track, Road America, one you like or dislike?
I enjoy it. It was a lot better as far as my performance than last week. We had some good door-to-door battles, but like Matt said, that kind of took me away from fighting him, since we're coming into this race. We were only separated by 3 points in the championship for Pro Ben. So.
Ooh, it's getting tight. Poor season start performance, Matt, versus you picking things up again for the latter half. Were you just sandbagging at the start, or who just found your speed again?
No, I don't even know if I found my speed again. I was neither sandbagging nor have I found my speed. I think things have just kind of turned my way these last few races, because if you look at the qualifying times and the practice times and stuff like that, consistently I'm like P3 or P4. It's just a matter of things like how the chips fall, or whatever turn of phrase you want to use.
Oh, we'll have to see how that one does play. Hunter, welcome to this one. You're third of the Pro beneficiaries tonight. We'll have a quick chat to you here as well before we come back to the others. How was Road America this evening?
It was fun. It's a challenge. Yeah, it was fun. Good time.
Succinct, as we expected. Matt, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to or thank?
Honestly, I give a shout out to these guys right here, Tyler and Hunter. Tyler for giving me the additional motivation that I need, because he's keen to point out that we were only three points apart, and I was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna go ahead and hop into the practice session and go ahead and like get some practice in, because he's keeping me motivated and keeping me pushing hard. And then Hunter, because I reached out to him before the Race of Remembrance, and I haven't got a chance to actually properly thank him. I think after the Race of Remembrance, I reached out to him and he gave me a whole bunch of really great advice that I was able to carry with me into that. And so shout out to both these guys.
So Tyler, what about you?
I'm gonna have to do the same.
Oh.
Matt, we've been working together. We were at 2 Race Remembrance together. It's great battling with him. Hunter is a great sport. We had a little bit of a little rub in there. Always a good time with Hunter, Mr. Bucky.
Now, Hunter, first off, I'm going to ask you, anybody like to give a shout out to or thank? Then I have a final question for you. So thanks first, and then we need to come to the important one. So drop it.
Well, it's these guys, obviously. I mean, come on.
Oh, wow. Is this just a circle thing going on in here?
It sure is.
You can thank other people, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun race. It is fun against racing with these guys because they're very fast and I mean, it's like it just wants you to make you push harder, and so yeah, it's always a blast racing with these guys in the LMP3 and the Pro Ben class. But I have to give a special shout out to Matt Ayotte because I was at COTA this weekend for WRL, doing a little driving, doing a little engineering, a little strategy. And I would text him and make sure my numbers are right on strategy and ask him if he's seen the same thing I'm seeing. So eventually we got up to P3, but had to retire. But big help Matt was to me this weekend. So thank you, Matt Ayotte.
Now, the most important question is here. Can you put your problems with Tyler to bed and take on Matt together?
What?
Oh, yeah.
I'm causing drama. Carry on. Shush. You can't talk, Matt. You're not allowed. Tyler and Hunter, can you put this to bed and can you bring it to Matt next week for the finale?
I don't care. I mean, it happens. It's just racing. It's tough. It was a tight corner.
No. There's drama. You need to kind of push the drama angle here. We're trying to pump things up for the big final. Okay, so it's getting a bit spicy. No, can we manage that?
Okay, yes,
it's gonna be great.
Exactly going to happen. We're
get a bit moody. There you go. Perfect. Wonderful. That's exactly what we needed. Matt, can you stop two of them at once?
I will do my best. I'll make my car as wide as possible. It's going to be the biggest LMP3 you've ever seen on Daytona.
Oh, no. We have had certain assertions from Tyler that it's his home track and he's going to be the beast there. Hunter, what do you think you can bring to Daytona?
Hot, fast, nasty, badass speed.
That sounds like the strip down the road, not the racetrack. Well, on that note, Matt, what do you think?
What do I think?
Of Daytona, what do you think your hopes are?
My hopes are, of course, to win. That's obviously going to be the goal. To go as fast as I possibly can, to hopefully win, and to hopefully beat Tyler on his home track.
Oh, that's what we needed. And on that bombshell, we will wrap things up for tonight here at Oppo. As always, thank you to the series partners for Operation eMotorsport, iRacing League, iRacing, and the USA of North Carolina. For Diesel Loader, Jason Leach, Tyler Reed, and the entire Operation Motorsport team. For Ryan Bauer at Podium eSport, camera builder Dougie Beard, our producer DJ Lion, Cameron Obenon on social media. For my colleague this evening, Michael Johnson, I'm your host Rachel Whiteford. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast, and we'll see you next week at Daytona for the big finale and all the drama it will ensue. Good night.